Hi, Kevin here. For dinner tonight, we're fixing corned beef and cabbage. But I'm not going to fix the traditional dish. Instead, I'm going to cook the corned beef in the Instant Pot, and then I'm going to make a very easy casserole from cabbage, a large onion, some red potatoes, and for a crunchy topping, some crushed pork rinds. All right, here's the corned beef, and this is the classic flat cut. Classic flat cut is very easy to slice across the grain, so that's what you want when you buy corned beef. Also, let me explain where the name corned beef comes from. First, I'll need my glasses because I took some notes. Let's see. Corned beef is a salt-cured brisket of beef. The term comes from the treatment of the meat with large grained rock salt, also called corns of salt. So the salt is the size of a corn kernel. I'm going to open up this package, which also includes a spice packet, and then I'll be right back. All right, here's the corned beef out of its package. And you'll notice there's quite a bit of fat on one side. Do not remove the fat because it's got tons of flavor. And then I'm going to flip this over because here's the little spice packet. Let's see, I want to dry off this thing. And then the spice packet contains peppercorns and I think coriander, little bits of bay leaf, and maybe some dill. But it's mostly peppercorns. Cut that off so it's ready to go. And then to cook this in the Instant Pot, you want to put the brisket on the rack that came with the Instant Pot. We're going to put this that side up, like this, and then add to the Instant Pot 4 cups of water. This plain old water. And then sprinkle the brisket with the spice mixture, just like this. And if you want to add some additional bay leaves and some additional peppercorns, you certainly may. But I've made this brisket many times and I found it doesn't need any extras. There's no need to gild the lily. Okay, and then put the brisket in the pot, put on the lid, it goes. And then set the, well, I'm going to take my glove off, set the timer for pressure cook. I don't know if you can see this, but this is pressure cook. And we want 1 hour and 30 minutes, or 90 minutes. There, and we are ready to go. Now, the Instant Pot is a little misleading because nothing is instant in this pot. It will take the water about 20 minutes to come to pressure, and then we'll cook the corned beef for 90 minutes. And it's going to end up being about 2 hours for the corned beef to cook, which is still pretty fast because if you did this on the stovetop or the oven, it would be more like 4 hours. Okay, now I'll get my casserole ingredients ready and come right back. Now, the casserole only takes 50 minutes or so to cook. So what you want to do is assemble the casserole and preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. But don't put the casserole in the oven until the corned beef has cooked for about 40 minutes. Now, to prepare these vegetables, what I'm going to do is peel and slice the onion, peel and slice the 3 red potatoes, shred the cabbage, and I'm going to crush the pork rinds in the food processor. All right, my peeling and slicing work is done. And what I did was shred the cabbage, and then I sliced the potatoes rather thinly. They're about 1/8 of an inch thick. And I did use red potatoes. And you want to use red potatoes because the slices hold their shape as they cook. And I sliced the onion into half moons. Again, roughly 1/8 of an inch thick. All right, and then I have my casserole dish here. And you can butter the dish or do what I'm going to do and just spritz it with non-stick vegetable spray. Done. Okay, then you want to start with a layer of cabbage. And this is roughly a 9 by 13 casserole dish. I'm breaking up the cabbage as I go. And then add onion. Maybe I'll move you in a little closer. Yeah, add a layer of the onion. And I'm just separating the slices. And then add a layer of the potato. Yeah, I made this casserole last night and Mr. Fox thought it was, well, he really loved it, okay? I thought it was lacking a little zing. And that's why I'm adding pork rinds today. And then, grab a paper towel here, dry my hands. Then I'm going to very lightly salt this layer. And I'm salting it lightly because I know the pork rinds are very salty. I tasted one before I ground it up and wow, yeah, super salty. So then add another layer of cabbage. That was a 3-pound Savoy cabbage that I shredded, and I may not use all of the cabbage in this dish. I may save some to saute tomorrow for breakfast. I can put eggs on top of it. Okay, then the onion, just throw these in. Separate them. And then potatoes. And I know some people will top this kind of casserole with French fried onions, which really are delicious. The only problem is that they contain wheat, and Mr. Fox will freak out if I serve him a casserole that contains any wheat in it. So another reason I'm not using these, and I did think that I could just put the French fried onions over half the casserole for me, but I put a handful of these in my mouth last night and nearly broke a tooth. I don't know what was in there, but it was either burnt onion or, who knows, it seemed like I had a pebble in my mouth. So I guess the company that made these French fried onions does not practice adequate quality control. Okay. I think that's enough potatoes for this. And then, again, salt and pepper. A very light dusting of salt. This is kosher salt. And then going to put the lid on. If you don't have a lid for your casserole, just cover it tightly with aluminum foil. Oh, I forgot one thing. I wanted to put some melted butter in here. Okay, this is 6 tablespoons of butter that I melted in the microwave. And I'm going to just drizzle this over the top. Remember, everything is better with butter. Yeah, Mr. Fox thought this casserole, even with no topping at all, was like the most delicious thing he'd ever tasted. But then, he's a big fan of my cooking. He's like my biggest supporter. Okay, then on with the lid. And when this brisket cooks a little more, I'm going to preheat the oven to 400 degrees and then put the casserole in the oven with the lid on for 14 minutes. Then I'm going to take the lid off and I'm going to sprinkle the crushed pork rinds, which I put in this jar. I'll sprinkle these on top and then bake it again for another 10 minutes. Okay, so we'll be back. I wanted to tell you a few other things about the cabbage casserole. You can make it many hours ahead of time and just bake it off whenever you're ready. And also, the cabbage becomes really sweet as it cooks in the oven. And finally, you can leave it in the oven, just maybe at 200 degrees, for a good half hour or so. If you have to hold the casserole until the rest of your meal is ready. Okay, so it's a good casserole to have in your pocket. All right, here's the casserole fresh out of the oven. It did bake for 14 minutes at 400 degrees and looks like everything, oh yeah, the potatoes are definitely tender throughout. Cabbage looks good. So now we want to put on the topping. And I've decided, for the sake of experiment, that I will use ground pork rind over half. And that will be Mr. Fox's half, although of course I will want to taste it as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the French fried onions on the other half. Now I did go through these and there were no hard pieces at all. So I feel confident that I will not break a tooth while biting into one of these little morsels. I'm going to be rather generous here. Okay. And then this will go back into the oven uncovered for just 10 minutes. So we'll come back. All right, the corned beef is ready. So now I'm going to do a quick release by moving the venting valve forward. We are fully depressurized. Off goes the lid. Ooh, this looks pretty. Now I'm going to grab the handles of the rack. Trying to do this with one hand. Wish me luck. Here it is. The the corned beef. Okay, and now you can tent this with aluminum foil and let it rest if you wish, but you really don't have to do that with corned beef, especially when it's been pressure cooked. I'm going to remove some of this fat. Slice it off. I should probably do this off camera. Yeah, I'm going to move this onto my board here and then slice off the fat. I'll come right back. Alright, here's the fat that I removed. Here's the brisket. And I'm going to flip it so the fat side is down. And then, the idea here is to slice it against the grain. And let me hold this up so you can see. So the grain is running this way. And if you were to slice right on the grain, you'd end up with, well, shredded corned beef, which is not a bad thing. I'm going to go in the opposite direction and slice this way. And of course, I should have the camera on the other side, but, well, I don't. But yeah, it slices beautifully this way, look. You can make very thin slices when you slice against the grain. Okay, I'll finish slicing this up, and then I will fetch the casserole from the oven, and then we'll have a taste. While you're here with me, I do want to taste each part of this casserole. The part with the pork rinds, here it is, and a little piece from the section that's covered with the French fried onions. Need a fork. Okay, this is very hot. Okay, first the pork rind part. Yeah, there's a nice crunch from the ground up or crushed pork rinds. That's not bad at all. So let's try a little bit with the French fried onions. Oh, well, the French fried onion part is freaking fabulous. Seriously. But it's still really terrific with the pork rind. So the choice is yours, really. And again, you don't have to cover it with any kind of crunchy topping. You can just serve it as is. Okay, here is Mr. Fox's serving. And his casserole is topped with the crushed pork rinds. And I always put a little dollop of Dijon mustard. Here it is. Dijon mustard, Grey Poupon. Whenever I serve corned beef. And here is my serving with the French fried onions on top of my cabbage casserole. And here's the dollop of mustard. Okay, now going to have a taste. Okay, this corned beef is so tender you don't even need a knife to cut it. Look at that. Beautiful. Very tender. incredibly delicious. And of course, I've already tasted of the casserole. And now I honestly can't decide which topping I prefer, the crushed pork rinds or the French fried onions. I think they're both terrific. So choose one or the other, or choose none at all. But do promise me that you will try this corned beef and cabbage casserole dinner someday. Obviously, it's perfect for St. Patrick's Day, which is this week. So thank you so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe and tap the little bell icon to receive notifications. And please post a comment below, because your words are the sunshine of my day. Okay, again, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon with another recipe. Bye for now.